wins, 7 defeats with 1 draw. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chris Pilkington. And his opponent across the ring fighting tonight out of the blue corner. He's wearing gray with red and weighed in the same as his opponent, 10 stone, 1 pound. Hailing from Northampton, Northamptonshire, he had a stellar amateur career and now as a professional, he is undefeated with 3 wins. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Ethan Jammy James.
Bob Williams gives the final words of advice to the 2 fighters.
Standing, we'll go to the furthest neutral corner and stay there. Protect yourself.
You can see Ethan James by 2 or 3 inches, the taller man. And Thomas Treiber telling us about that amateur record. Well, he won the gold medal in the Commonwealth Youth Championships in the Bahamas a year or 2 back, and a silver in the European Juniors. Turned pro last year. And we've already seen him on BT Sport, made his pro debut against the Newark stalwart Fons Alexander. As I said, Northampton's never produced a British champion. James Conway, James's coach, his son Kieran's gone close. He got a draw in a title challenge to Ted Cheeseman here at the York Hall last June.
Well, James will certainly want to be the first British champion in Northampton. He's got quite a good style. He's actually switched to southpaw now. He's obviously been well schooled. He's got a good amateur record, and he's won medals obviously at youth level. But obviously professional boxing is totally different. And he'll have to put a little bit more on his shots, but stick to his boxing skills, most definitely working behind his jab. In this contest, he's against a much shorter man, so when he is orthodox, then he should be looking at bringing his right uppercut into play after the use of the jab. But yeah, he's just experimenting in this round, John, in terms of just switch hitting and, as I say, boxing as a southpaw now and just trying to make his opponent a little bit confused, back to orthodox.
Pilkington, I say, is on a losing run. He was actually stopped for the first time in his career last time out by Denis Denikayev. Ethan would like to produce something similar. Did actually find the power to put Michael Mooney into reverse gear a little bit in his last fight, and Michael's been around the block. He knows all about surviving.
See, I don't agree so much about people wanting James to just hold his feet to get more, because what he's got to do, he's got to bring his opponent onto punches. So he's been successful as an amateur with the movement, which is okay. You just got to transfer that into the pro game and just bring your opponent actually onto punches, especially the right uppercut in this situation when he's orthodox. But still retain a lot of those skills you've had as an amateur.
So if it's worked well for you in the unpaid ranks, fighting at range, moving and using that big reach that he's got, working behind that jab from range, then you'd say keep on doing it.
Keep on doing it, yeah, most certainly, because then what you do is you tend to break the opponent down. If you've got more skills than your opponent, you bring him onto the shots and you just keep going. That's what I did. I transferred my skills into the pro game, okay, so I kept a similar style.
Well, he ends that round with a nice solid left hand into the body and a good opening round to Ethan James.
Hang about down them shoulders, just take them steps and lead off. Work that body lovely off the angles. And go again. Put hook on the end of them bilos. Excuse me. In a step. No? Don't swallow. No? Good. Alright, and just don't go missing 15, 20 seconds. Keep moving, touch. Good enough. Go with that power.
Welcome back to Your Call, Bethnal Green, where we've got World Championship action for you later on. This is our opening bout.
Yeah, he did okay here. Switched to southpaw and just caught his opponent there with that left hand. He won the first round, I thought, young James.
Jamie James, the 20-year-old from Northampton. This is a 4-rounder moving into the second.
You see, what they've told Pilkington here is you've got to step on the gas here and get to him and push him back and get round that long reach of his. Pilkington on that front foot coming out at the start of this round.
Pilkington managed by Carl Greaves, one of the great small hall boxing promoters, who's got a sizable stable of fighters, all of whom have got a bit of a tough man reputation. They usually give it a go, Richie.
Yeah, he's a good trainer and good manager, isn't he? Carl Greaves. He's got a good stable of boxers, and they're all tough kids.
In the current situation, of course, which is affecting all of us in one way or another, small hall boxing promoters are among those who are badly hit, because of course they rely entirely on ticket sales, no television coverage normally of their shows, and so without a live audience, quite clearly their means of making a living for the time being is put on hold.
No, that's good stuff. There's that right uppercut I spoke about earlier. That's what he's got to use more. He's boxing well, James, I think. Just keeping the gap, keeping the movement going. You know, if they're wanting him to hold his feet to generate power, you don't really generate power by holding the feet. It's bringing the opponent onto the punch that can generate power as the opponent's coming forward and you meet him with a good shot.
Yeah, it's one
the
of the
power's doubled up, you know, so with the movement I think he's doing really well.
And one of the old adages is that it's the ones you don't see.
Exactly.
Pull your arms out. Pull your arms out. Pull your arms out. Walk away.
But his style of boxing, though, John, he's got to be fit. You know, if he is, say, lacking a little bit of power, then the opponent's going to keep coming, so you've got to be fit and just got to be prepared to keep throwing those shots and keep moving. Never panic.
Okay, got you.
And for Pilkington, he's just got to try and close that gap down. He's got to try and corner him. Yeah, get him on the ropes now. This is what Pilkington's got to do. This is his game.
Pilkington trying to use what he hopes will be superior strength to try and walk James down and try and work away inside. He's had his moments, but, well, not for me enough to have won the round. And James finishing by picking him off at range and a nice body shot halfway stage.
I feel. Good one. Yeah. Once you start working down there, pop back up to the head. It's nice stuff. Starting to dig him in a bit more now as well. Alright, feel comfortable? I've got nothing, has he? No. I haven't strong at all. But you don't need it. You don't need it messy, do you? No. Yeah, you're clean, you're sharp. Keep it down, just take them a little step. Down, back up. Alright? Don't then start grabbing.
Undefeated prospect Ethan James in our first fight of the night up against Chris Pilkington from Gateshead. James doing enough for the second round, Richie?
Yes, I thought he boxed very well in the second round. Pilkington, he's got the will, but he just can't find the way at the moment, so 2 to James for me.
It's a 4-rounder. This is round 3. Ethan James, you see, stands some 3 or 4 inches taller than Pilkington and almost exclusively fighting out of the southpaw stance and trying to keep his man off with that jab.
Yeah, it makes things just a little bit more awkward when James is boxing as a southpaw for Pilkington. There's a clash of the front legs, you see. They keep clashing, and it's harder for them Pilkington to close that gap down. what he's probably got to try and concentrate on is just slipping to the left and trying to deliver a left hook, because occasionally Pilkington loses his balance and just allows, James loses his balance and just allows Pilkington to close that gap, but maybe it's the left hook that he should be trying to land rather than the right hand.
Pilkington keeps trying to walk him down, but he's not done a lot in this third round so far.
Yeah, he's just trying to concentrate on that right hand, John. That's his problem. He's so hell-bent on landing that shot. And he's just taking too much as he's coming forward. That's it. He's got to keep that head movement, Pilkington. Looks, he's looking for the right hand again. He's waiting a little bit too long and he's getting caught. Neglecting his jab. Bit of a frustrating night for him. At the moment, anyway.
This is where he wants him.
Yeah, that's it. That's what he's got to do.
A couple of clubbing right hands into the body, but no damage done.
It's the right idea, actually, to try and land that body shot, because he's in against a good mover and you've got to try and slow those feet down. That's why Pilkington is trying to land that right hand downstairs.
Heads came close there. Pilkington rushed in. And he's getting frustrated. You can see that on his face. See a left hand from James on his face as well. So another fairly dominant round for Ethan James. 3 out of 3. And all going according to plan here as he takes some words from James Conway in the corner, and this is action from that round.
Yeah, another good round for James. He's boxing well. Boxing well as a southpaw. That's making things difficult for Pilkington, who was just so determined to try and land that right hand and just couldn't get home with it, could he? But up to now, this man, he's doing well. He's boxing.
Just remember, if he does go missing, there's an job, get them feet in. Right, touch, whip one in. And looking under them elbows, yeah, they're particularly high.
Something about it.
Yeah.
Not my shot.
I know that. Keep working, yeah?
Yes, it.
Good finish. Right, and stay safe. Hands at once.
Corners, 10 seconds. Second out, fourth and last round.
Well, he's boxed quite nicely so far, Ethan James, and just 3 minutes away now, just under, from recording his 4th professional victory.
I think it's been a good learning fight for him, John. You know, it's only his 4th contest. He's in against a tough, rugged opponent who just keeps coming forward, who's very determined. This is how you learn against guys like this. You can practice your shots, but again, you can't get complacent.
So if you were speaking to him after this, you would be saying, don't worry about what you might think's a lack of power, just concentrate on what you do well.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I would be saying to him. You know, like I say, power is generated through the direction and movement of the boxers, really, so bringing them onto shots. Yes, he might have to work maybe on a little bit more relaxation, because that's something else he could work on to increase power. Speed and relaxation, most definitely. But no, I think he's doing okay up to now. But the way he's boxing, John, you just can't afford to switch off. And in contests like this and going forward, it'll be a mental battle as well as a physical one. That's what he's got to concentrate on. Just keep to your job, get it done.
Both guys going to get a bit of a speaking to here from Bob Williams.
Yeah, all right. Box on.
No great animosity, I don't think.
That's it, that's good work, you see, that's good boxing, that is. Hitting and moving and just coming at a different angle.
Watch the use of the elbow as the second instruction. Oh, that's a nice left hand.
Lovely, because he just slipped a shot, didn't he? So he just laid back a little bit and then he brought him onto that left hand. That was a good punch. Oh, that was a nice shot from Pilkington there. Got close, you see. Young James there, just let him get a little bit too close and just comes back. There's that left hook we spoke about earlier, John, as well.
Pilkington giving it a go in this last round, as we knew he would. Solid looking body shots before an attempted left hook. But is that his last big effort?
He's having a bit more success in this round, Pilkington, because I think James has just allowed him to close that gap a little bit more. You see, when it's at close quarters, Pilkington's in with a shout, isn't he? He lands the odd shot here and there. He's tough, and he prefers that type of contest.
Now back pedals and allows James to, as he would see it, hopefully walk onto something. James doesn't oblige, and the bell for the last round goes. Good effort from Chris Pilkington, but Ethan James will surely have done enough to record victory in our first fight of the night.
Yeah, I think he's won that, and won every round.
You give him that last round?
Yeah, I would. I'd give him the last round. I thought it was a little bit closer, but Pilkington didn't do enough to win the round for me. Made it a little bit more interesting because he landed a couple more shots, but overall I thought James, look at that little layback and then brings him onto that left hand. That's what I'm talking about. That's skill. That was nice. So yeah, it was a little bit different in that last round because I think James made it that way, didn't he? He allowed Pilkington to get a little bit close, but overall I think it was a good display from James. He will have learned from that contest, and this fella's as tough as they come.
Yeah, tough guy, and Ethan only 20 years old. You know, he's got a long way to go, hasn't he? It's getting those learning fights under his belt.
Really, really important for him, this type of contest. So yeah, a lot of skill there, a lot to work with. If I was his coach, I'd be quite pleased with him tonight.
Well, the two fighters going to opposite corners and being congratulated. Meanwhile, the referee's scorecard has been brought down to our Master of Ceremonies, Thomas Treiber. Surely it's going to be a win for Ethan James. Let's find out what the score is.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 4 rounds of boxing, our referee in charge, Bob Williams, scores this contest 40-36 for your winner and still undefeated, Ethan Jammy James.
Jammy James makes it 4 out of 4. Our first fairly low-key fight of the night. The big ones still to come. But Ethan James, he's on the learning curve and makes it 4 out of 4.
As you rightly stressed, John, that is the point of the exercise at this time. Carl Frampton is our special guest alongside myself and David Hay tonight. To you, Carl, your appreciation, please.
Yeah, I think it was a good performance. Ethan James is a very slick fighter. I think he got nailed a little bit too often, although he was elusive most of the times. There was a few occasions where he got hit a little bit too clean. I think that's something that maybe his team wouldn't be the happiest with. Richie made a good point earlier on that the way he fights, he'll need to be extremely fit as the rounds go up because he uses a lot of the ring. But I think it was a good win for the kid.
And David, your turn.
Yeah, 4 rounds, solid in the bag, won every single round, but you have to try to be ultra critical when you're watching a young guy like this. So I'd say the punch evasion needs to be just thought about a little bit, but the punch selection was nice. You know, the movement. I liked his evasive movements.
Can I on evasion and otherwise?
Yeah.
I mean, he's a tall boy, number one.
Yeah.
And the way he sets himself, David, does he need to address that?
No, I like the way he sets himself. He looks for angles. He rotates through the shot. But you're right, he's got a high energy style. So I see stuff like that, slipping outside and countering. This is great. This is great stuff. So he needs to make sure he's super fit because all it takes is him to get tired and those slips slow down a bit. That's when he starts getting caught. But this is a great learning fight. This is what these fights are about. They're taking a few shots to know when you go up in level,
you know what you need to work on. So it was a solid performance, and he's got a lot to work on from that.
And we all have a lot to learn at all times, and thank you both, gentlemen, because I continue to learn from you. Now he's going to find out if he can take a verbal shot from Mr. Bunce. Let's meet the young man.
Thanks very much indeed, Paul. Even first of all, Carl Frampton and David Hay, they're dissecting your fight. The dissection lasted longer than the fight, I've got to tell you that. So what do you want to do? Do you want to get more powerful, or just carry on doing what you're doing? You're boxing from your top amateur days.
Yeah, definitely. You're always looking to improve on the strength, but obviously I want to keep to what my titles when I was an amateur, back to basics, quick feet movement, just sharp on the jab. And then the power coming with time. I've just turned 20 last week. But yeah, just stick to the basics, and my coach knows what I'm doing. He's been with me for 13 years. He won all the titles with me.
Because these guys that you're fighting, they might have losing records, but they're hard men, aren't they? You didn't fight them in the Commonwealth Youth Championships or the European Juniors, did you?
No, definitely. They're in there to do the job. They're not there to just go out easy. I want them to give me a test. I want them to pressurise me and give me the little cheap, the little dirty shots, the little single shots I get sloppy with. Because then when I step up to the big lads, I'm not making the silly mistakes, getting caught with dash shots here and there. But I wanted to let some big shots go, and I have to stand there and try to do it. So I'm risking getting caught with the silly shots.
You didn't get caught with that many silly shots, just one or two. Just quickly, final question. I'm only allowed two, but I'm going to get three. You know when they start talking to you, that's when you know you're getting to them, right?
Yeah.
Bear that in mind for the future.
Will do, definitely. Thank you very much.
No problem at all. Andy's polite, Paul. Andy's polite.
But did he mean when they're talking to him, as in when Steve Bunce is interviewing them, or did he mean in the ring? That's for another occasion. Anyway, good luck to the young man setting out to make his career in the 10-stone division, where the superstar of the day is Josh Taylor, and he is live tonight on BT Sport. It's his debut on our channel. We feel privileged to feature him tonight, defending his IBF and WBA world titles against Apinan Kongson of Thailand, undefeated. Former WBC flyweight champion Charlie Edwards also back in the ring for the first time in over a year, so lots to feature tonight. And next, George Davey against Jeff Thomas at super welterweight. Another couple of young prospects.